brought to you by Bethel School of Technology. Learn more at betheltech.net/Ken Coleman. So the current job market is stable. Healthy are two terms that I would use. But it's also changing. It is changing. And the question becomes, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, will we be able to say the same thing? So where we are today, first, little bit over 4% unemployment. Still, we're talking historically low numbers. Okay. So that's a good thing. But the number's ticking up. One of the things to be a little bit concerned about, something that I'm paying attention to, is the percentage of the jobs that have been added, and the numbers have been low when we look at monthly payrolls and we look at the economy. Is the economy adding jobs? So, for instance, we've got a presidential election coming up, and presidential candidates, pundits, they're going to focus on jobs always as kind of an economic indicator as to how an administration should be judged. Okay. So when we see these job numbers coming out, one of the things that looks a little soft and is something that I'm telling the media that I'm watching and a little concerned by is that the largest percentage of new jobs that have been added over the last few months have been government jobs. Now, the reason that concerns me is because that's not sustainable. You can't just keep pumping government jobs out. It just doesn't, you run out of money. That's taxpayer-funded employment, okay? The other reason that I'm concerned by that is that's not going to drive the economy. Small businesses, as they grow and as they employ people, that's what drives our economy, not government jobs. So I look at that and I go, this shows me that we're seeing a bump in unemployment, and we're also seeing a reduction in jobs being added by the corporate and small business parts of our job economy. Those two factors together, if those two trends continue, 3 months, 6 months from now, you might have a not so great job market. But as we sit here today, it's stable. It's stable. It's not great. It's not bad. It's stable. So that's where we stand today. How did we get there? I just want to go back for a brief moment. How did we get there? Well, we got there because coming out of the pandemic, we saw a massive, massive bump in jobs created and incomes attached to those jobs. Then it created the Great Resignation. We're going to talk about that in just a second. So we got overheated. And so inflation was spiking. Why? Because of the Great Resignation. Okay. So more jobs were spun off coming out of in the pandemic. And so companies were going, I need somebody. So they go to Alex and they go, we need you. And we want to entice you to leave company A and come work with us. So what do? They offer Alex a pay bump. We'll get into that detail in a second. He goes, okay, that feels good. I'm going to do it. So he jumps. Okay. So then now we got company A. Company A has a hole they got to fill because Alex just left. Does this make you uncomfortable? I'm using you as an example. Okay. And so what do? So now they go, I got to get somebody to fill Alex's role. So they go somewhere else and they go, we got to get you to come over here and we're going to pay you more to come over here. Does everybody see how this works? Real simple economics. It's called musical chairs, but the demand goes up. All right. So that was a huge driver of inflation. So what does Jerome Powell and the Fed do? They do what the Fed has done for decades. He comes out and he says over and over again, hey, we need to see interest rates go up and try to cool the consumer demand, cool inflation. And what is an outcome of that is, and he said this over and over again, and I reported it on the show, you're going to see unemployment go up. So, all right, that sets us up for where we are right here, right now. That's where we are. That's how we got there. Now, what's going on? Here we go. This is a Fox Business article. And now Bank of America economists have come up with a new term, Alex. Instead of the Great Resignation, we are now in the Great Hesitation. And by the way, we've been telling you this. The number of workers moving from job to job is about 3% on average as of May. This is a pretty good drop from mid-2022 when it was nearly 3.75%. Now, you think that 0.75% is not very much, but it's significant when we talk about people and a massive number. Okay? So during the Great Resignation, when we had over 4 million people per month were leaving their jobs, the median pay raise the job hoppers received was above 20%. You remember that? I mean, we were telling you that. We're like, man, people are getting 20% bumps. Whoa. Now, as of May 2024, Bank of America reports that that figure has fallen to 10%. Okay? And this figure is actually below 2019 levels. So if you go back pre-pandemic to 2019, people were getting more than a 10% pay bump on average when they left. Okay, or in the median, I should say, not on average. Okay. So it's really, really interesting. And what's going on is now job hoppers are going, I don't know where this thing is going. The economy, we've got an uncertain election. Everybody's kind of always waiting to see what's going on there. Companies aren't hiring at the rate they were hiring. They aren't offering these bumps. So people are going, do I want to move for 10%? That's essentially what's happening. Now, the largest slowdown in the job to job, so I'm moving from here to here, the largest slowdown is for middle and higher income earners. Here's what the good news is. Lower income Americans are seeing the strongest pay raise for job change. And that is largely because of the hourly wage component in those type of jobs where, again, not the most desirable jobs, that's why they're lower income. And so there's still a demand from the employers to say, I need somebody to fill this spot. So you're seeing lower income workers having the biggest bump. But in the middle income, and this is the key point, and the white collar, the higher income jobs, understand this. The pendulum of power has swung back to the employer. People aren't walking in going, I'm demanding 20% or I'm out. That's not happening. And so pay attention to this. Why do I tell you this? Because the landscape is changing. And so the easy money, the easy transition to something else is not there. You've got to be very smart. Please pull the boat up to the dock. Don't jump from one boat. Just whee and try to swim your way out there. I think you got to be very, very careful. So there you go. There's an update on where we are in the job economy. You can still get it, and I'm here to help you get it. But it's not as easy as it was. We'll be right back. Launch your tech career today at betheltech.net/Ken Coleman.